What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. I hope you guys have had a great week. At the time you're seeing this, I believe it's Thursday. I had to film a lot in 2 days, so kind of the videos got a little jumbled up, but I believe I'm dropping this on Thursday. So what's up? Happy Thursday. Hope you guys have had a great Thursday. If you're watching this before work, have a good day. If you're watching it after or in between, I hope it's going good. If you click the video, it's because you're interested to hear my rankings, my power rankings for the NFL. We do 1 through 10 here. We do quick hits, talk about why I think they're there, why I put them there, some of the scheduling things that are going on, just highlights and news that's going on with the team. And we start from 10 to 1. So let's go ahead and jump right in, man. At number 10, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the Cincinnati Bengals Monday night, 34-31. Obviously, we all know the news with Trevor Lawrence going down with the ankle injury. Looked pretty bad, but I believe it was a low ankle sprain is what the head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars came out and said. With the loss and the injury, the defense didn't look too good. If you let the Cincinnati Bengals without Joe Burrow throw for almost, I think Jake Browning threw for like 340 yards. You got to get put down a little bit. So they definitely moved down in this week's ranking. They didn't fall out just because I still have hope for him. The season is not over for Trevor Lawrence. He'll be out for a couple of weeks, but they still have the lead in the division. The Houston Texans are on their heels. You'll see them a little bit later in this rankings, but they can't be out of it, but they definitely need to be knocked down a few pegs. Moving on to number 9, we got the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions obviously lost to the Green Bay Packers. We talked about it on Thanksgiving Day. They then turned around and followed that up with a 21-0 first quarter against the New Orleans Saints. 28-7 at one point, and the Saints came storming back. Now, if you know anything about me, I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, sadly. I have a video coming out very soon about how the Saints organization can fix themselves. Done a lot of work on it. If you let that offense, especially in the third quarter, the end of the third quarter, Derek Carr goes out. If you let that team come back and even hang around, you have to be knocked down a few pegs. I'm sorry. If you're a Saints fan, you know how bad that offense has been. It has been terrible. And so just even letting them hang around, you have to be knocked down a few pegs. If you're a Lions fan, I'm sorry. You guys are playing your best football probably of the last, I don't even know how many years. And I get that you guys are a good team, but you cannot follow up a loss on Thanksgiving Day to the Packers with a barely scraping by the New Orleans Saints win where you struggled on the offensive side and defensive side. You just cannot have it. It was a bad game by them as far as finishing it off and continuing to grow the lead. But they won, and so that's what happens in this league. If you win, it's a lot easier to talk about what you can fix. If you lose, it gets a lot harder. So you got to give credit to them for winning the game and for finishing it off. But man, that did not look good if you're a Lions fan. Moving on to number 8, the team that beat the the team that beat the Lions on Thanksgiving Day, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers have now beat the Lions and the Chiefs. And there was I forget who they beat before them, but they're on a 3-game win streak of very, very, very good teams. Jordan Love is playing the best ball of his young career. He looks great, looks not exactly like, but he looks, I don't know if you guys are going to like this, looks a lot like 12. Looks a lot like 12. That's now 8 in New York. He looks good. He looks good. The offense is rolling. The young receivers that they drafted are playing really well. Obviously, Christian Watson goes out with a hamstring injury. He tried to go down. It looked like, at least, on a play where he runs for the first down, tries to go down, kind of landed awkwardly because he was just trying to stop. Maybe his foot got stuck in the field. I don't know. Hopefully he's okay. But all the other guys have been playing very well alongside Jordan Love. So for those two reasons, they move up to number 8. They were previously not ranked. So that's a pretty big leap. Moving on to number 7. This might be a little high for you guys, but it's the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans continue to get wins, most recently against the hot Broncos, who won 4 in a row to get back to the 500 mark. We picked Houston to win in the last NFL full slate picks video that we did, and they won. They beat the Broncos, I believe, 22-17. Played really well. CJ has kind of leveled off a bit. Still, obviously, the best quarterback in the draft. Still, obviously, runaway for rookie of the year. But as far as like the wow performances, I feel like the past couple weeks they haven't been amazing. But listen, he's still playing great. Don't kill me in the comment section, Texans. He's playing some great football. It just hasn't been like the maybe I should say it hasn't been the highlight plays as much. He's still playing great. Maybe we're just missing some of the highlight plays. Obviously, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Tank Dell's injury. He is out for the rest of the season with a fractured fibia. Sucks to see, man. The guy was balling. I don't know what they were thinking, keeping him in on a goal line play where he's just small. He fractured his fibia, out for the rest of the season. Sucks to see for a young guy who was becoming a star in this league so early. Hopefully, he gets a speedy recovery and he can come back even better. But even with that being said, the Texans are number 7 in this week's power ranking. Moving on to number 6, Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, as we mentioned when we were talking about the Packers, lost to them on Sunday Night Football on the biggest stage that you could play on during a regular season week. And they didn't look good. Travis Kelce was pretty much a non-existent factor. The receivers have been a constant struggle for this team. We've talked about it. Even with Isaiah Pacheco having, I believe, over 100 yards rushing in this game, they just don't look good right now on offense. And I think when you have Patrick Mahomes, you're always going to be in it. But they're struggling right now on the offensive side of the ball. We all know it. Obviously, the defense has probably been the best of Patrick Mahomes' career. So you add Patrick Mahomes, you add the defense. I do believe they are still a top 6 team in the NFL. And so that's why I have them there. Moving on to number 5, man, we got the Miami Dolphins. They look really good against the Washington Commanders on Sunday. Obviously, Tyreek Hill was still on pace to go over 2,000 receiving yards, something we did not think could happen ever. And when he called it in the offseason, we thought it was a little bit crazy. Obviously, the narrative for the Dolphins is that they still can't beat good teams. They've played the games on their schedule. They've won more than they've lost. The offensive end of the ball looks very good for them. And so it's hard not to rank them in the top 5 when they look that good. Tua has obviously had a couple of, not so great games. He's turned the ball over as of late. But overall, I believe they're a top 5 team in the league just because of the offensive side. And the defense has been balling out. I don't know if you guys watched the in-season Hard Knocks. I have. The first 2 episodes was pretty much defensive heavy for them. The defense has played really well for them, and I believe that they're not getting a lot of credit. Obviously, they lost Jalen Phillips on the Black Friday game. That sucks, torn Achilles. We talked about it, but I do believe that this Dolphins team is legit. Moving on to number 4, the Dallas Cowboys. What can you say? The Dallas Cowboys beat up on bad teams, and they've played some really good football as of late. The Thursday night game against the Seahawks was a really fun watch. They obviously got out a little bit of luck, but that's what you need in the league. You need a little bit of luck to be a good team, alongside of all the hard work that these guys put in. So there's not much to say about the Cowboys other than the fact that this stretch coming up, they play a lot of good teams. They play the Eagles, they play the Bills. I believe they play the Dolphins. And then a lot of those games are not home; they're away. And so we're going to really find out how good the Dallas Cowboys are this next couple of games that they have on their schedule. But for now, we got to have them at 4. Number 3, falling down from the number 1 spot last week, is the Philadelphia Eagles. They got their butts whooped against the 49ers on Sunday. Listen, I still think they're a good football team. I still think they're a top 3 football team. Do they need to work a little bit more on the offensive side? Yes. Do the corners on the defensive side of the football need to work and they need to add some strength? For sure. They added Darius Shaq Leonard from waivers on, I want to say, Wednesday of last week. He just signed there, so that's a big thing for the Philadelphia defense. It feels like they're always adding people, even though the salary cap does exist. It feels like it doesn't exist in Philadelphia right now. And so with all those things combined, yes, I know that some of you have them a little bit further down in your top 10 rankings. But for me personally, man, I'm still high on Jalen Hurts. I think the offense is really good. I do feel like I agree with some of the people that are saying this was a wake-up call for the Eagles. They've been a little lackluster this season. They've been kind of cruising by on their talent. I feel like this game was like a punch in the mouth. I think this is going to be a game where we look back very similar to what we talked about in some of the other teams' cases, where you look at it and go, this is where they decided to take off again. I think some teams need a good punch in the mouth when they know they're good. They maybe fall down, or not fall down, but they maybe just become, they go through the motions. And so I think that the Eagles, for lack of better terms, I think they take this as a positive instead of a negative, and they become better for it. But since they did go through it, you got to drop them down from the number one team, and they dropped to number 3. Moving on to number 2, Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens have been very steady this season. They played great football this season. They've been a fun watch this season. Lamar Jackson, we continue to talk about him playing like an MVP. He's fallen down a little bit in the rankings, but that's okay. He's still playing good, and he's healthy, right? Now, knock on wood, he's kind of struggled towards the end of the season. We're getting towards the end of the season now. We'll see how good or how healthy he can stay. But as of right now, currently constructed, health and all, they're the number 2 team in the NFL just for the reason of the run game that they have is very strong. Obviously, Lamar is still able to run. He's still athletic. The offensive line is good. The receivers have played a lot better. And the defense is just the Ravens defense. It's a typical Ravens defense. They've got stars everywhere on it. And they always play good defense. There's really nothing to it. So they're the number 2 team for those reasons. Moving on to number 1, I feel like it's no shock. Really don't even need to say their names, but I will. It's the San Francisco 49ers. Do we need to say much more? They beat up on the Eagles pretty rough at the Eagles' home stadium. Brock Purdy looked good. Deebo Samuel looked really good. George Kittle looked good. Christian McCaffrey looked good. The offensive line looked good. The defense looked good. They're the best team in the NFL right now. It's simple. I think they talked a lot of trash going into Philly, and at first in the game they didn't back it up, but man, they figured it out and they backed it up. It was a bit of a shock to me. I thought the Eagles would maybe rise up and put up a little bit more of a fight. Obviously, Jalen Hurts goes out with the injury, he went to the concussion protocol. Came back in, continued to play. That's a good sign for the Eagles. He's been beat up a little bit this season, but I think he's going to be okay. He's a strong dude. He tends to play. He's mentally tough through injuries, and so. But yeah, I think it's pretty cut, clear, and dry that the 49ers are the best team in the NFL. But yeah, guys, I mean, that is the power rankings for this week, week 14. It's hard to believe we're already in week 14 of the NFL season. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section, who you would have in, who you'd have out, where you would have them ranked, where I'm wrong, where I'm right. You know the drill. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, hit the description down below as well to get all the links for my social media. Join the Discord. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on there as well. I'm more active on Discord and Twitter and different things like that than the YouTube comment section, but I'd love to read your comments as well for sure. Leave a like if you enjoyed today's video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.